Welcome to Go for Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Samuel, and I'm with co-host John. John, what's up, man?
Hey, doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be back on. Y'all did a fabulous job last week. I just want you and Wade to know that. And that's what brought me
Appreciate
to
that.
this story to tonight. But before we get started, John has a little bit of something he wants to share that I think is important about rural areas in Iowa. So go ahead.
Well, I'll make this short and sweet. So in America, we when we dial 911, we would expect the ambulance to show up. Here where I live in Iowa, in the state of Iowa, that's referred to as essential services if it's made law, if it's guaranteed. If it's guaranteed, that's the terminology. Guaranteed would mean it's essential. Police and firefighters are funded, but EMTs are not, and that's what I'm trying to make. I should say not me, but I'm trying to pursue the county that I live in to help that become law. So if it's not law where you're at, I encourage you to kind of do as the same as I do. Encourage your political leaders to make it so, because it's not a guarantee if it's not in the law as essential services.
Yeah,
So
see, I don't understand that. I mean, it could be in other rural areas in Texas. I have no idea, but we do need to start looking into that and kind of push for the congressional side to say yes, it is in your states and everything. So, just to let y'all know, last week I had two fabulous twin boys, and just to let everybody know, I am a twin, and so my daughter, when she had Noah and Luca, two precious little young angels into this world, and they're just so freaking cute. And so, but I want to talk to you about last week. Y'all talking about being in the army, and that's why I wanted to bring up about the Navy, because y'all were talking about some things that were really cool, and I mean, y'all were pumped up, y'all were exciting. So I started thinking about what were like the most dangerous things that y'all did over there, being shelled. And then you also got the sandstorms that hit, and then, you know, plus, tanks and everything else coming at you. And I was thinking, well, heck, you know what? The Navy really doesn't have a lot to worry about. And then I was like, really thinking about it. So I want to get into that. So
okay,
if
yeah,
so,
this is going to be interesting because I don't know a damn thing really about the Navy.
so my home port, and I'm going to put it up here. My home port was Guam, and my ship was USS San Jose, and the AFS is Auxiliary Free Store Ship. And so
Okay,
like I said, we talked before about delivering cargo while the ships are moving side by side, and we transfer cargo through high lines and wires. And so, uh, one of the things that I never thought about is how dangerous that job was. Because if our high line wire, I think, was 3/4 inch, and half an inch was our in haul and out haul lines, I believe, or a
that's
quarter
thick.
inch, something like that. And they're like tight. I mean, so then you go send cargo. If one of them snapped back, and we had that happen. Me and Mark were up in the winch booth, and I happened to crack a joke about, man, it'd be really cool to finally see a wire snap. Man,
Yeah, no,
it sounds like a cannon going off. And if it comes back and it hits you or anything in a line of fire, even the
oh,
bulkheads, the metal, it will put a hole in them.
it'll kill you. I mean, cable. Because I know. Not that I when we were doing construction in Honduras, they were supporting our. They had cables supporting each one of our bulldozers because they were such an angle, holding them in place. Yeah, one of them damn things. Well, you're done. If it hits you, you're done. I mean, done. You will not survive.
Right. And
Oh,
and then and then I was also thinking about, we had a whole bunch of forklifts on there because that's how we were able to pick up the cargo and set it where we need to and send it over. And we had what was called a runaway forklift. We were in the middle of a typhoon, and it somebody didn't tie it off good, and it got loose, and it was going down and back up the ship, down and back up the and so we were like, "How are we gonna stop this?" We're 19 to 24-year-old kids. Our
Yeah.
brain not fully developed. So we're like trying to lasso it and do all this stupid stuff that we got a cargo net and we set it down and we were able to get it. But I was like, man, I started thinking about the dangerous stuff. So like during Desert Storm, what did we have to worry about? Iran lobbing missiles. From what I understand, some ships will tell you out there that yes, they have seen uh, and heard of Iran lobbing missiles at some of our vessels while we were out there. And there's a guy that is on my ship. He swears that happened, but I don't remember it. And I mean, maybe one of my shipmates who might be uh, listening could tell me, but I don't remember it. I think that would be something that. And eh, one of the biggest things is Jason just put it up here was mines. The mines was probably
Right.
your biggest worry because they had, from what I understood, we did a mine class. And y'all had to worry about it in the sand. Ours, they were
Mhm.
floating or they were under
Yeah.
the ocean, anchored, and when vibration of the vessels go by, it would send a propeller to come up blow up the ship.
Did you ever see him? Did you ever see him?
Now, I will say this: I personally never saw mine in the water. I know from what I understand, we were in a minefield because the
No.
USNS, which is half military, a half Navy, and a half civilian, the Andrew J. Higgins hit a mine, and it put a hole in that sucker that big, and so we backed out. And so I remember us being in there, but I know a lot of the ships, a lot of ships out there saw them, and they say only two ships, Navy ships, hit them. I, for, I
Is that what's reported? Only 2 ships?
Right,
Um,
right. But the Andrew J. Higgins wasn't on there. I know the Andrew J. Higgins. We saw it. We saw the big old hole in the side. We saw it getting uh, towed into port. And so that was like our biggest thing was for us were mines. You're hoping the two guys up on the forecastle, the front of the ship, are really, really like watching.
that's the
Maybe
guys that are high up in the towers?
no, no, they're at just the very front of the ship, and like
Really?
they're
Just sitting
they're
there
just
with binoculars or whatever?
yeah, laying over with binoculars, looking at the water. How they didn't get sick, I have no idea, but you know, these
So
things.
humor me because I'm gonna ask a question. How
Okay.
many, like on your ship, how many different levels are there on like your type of ship?
So we had the the boiler room, and then you had the berthing area. So you have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven levels.
Really?
Yeah, I
Huh.
believe 6 or 7
Okay.
levels. And our ship was like 456 foot long. And then we had 450 something people on board the ship at that time.
Okay.
but but I'll tell you this. One of the things, the biggest fear that most sailors have is the ship catching on fire
Oh,
from the boilers.
yeah.
And when when your ship catches on fire, boom, that right there is your number one priority because if you don't put it out, you're going overboard. Then you're with the sea snakes and the sharks. I'm
So
sorry. No.
so back because I asked you if you're is a word is it still in commission today, and you told me no. And um
W-
so in a case of emergency, here again, because I don't know, if you do have to get off ship, what do they use? Yeah, humor me. Remember, I don't know anything about the Navy.
So if they
Lifeboat?
have to do lifeboats, well, you had the captain's gig and then you had lifeboats. And our lifeboats is once they hit the water, they go down a little bit. They're supposed to open up and they got water MREs on them and they come back up and you jump in the water and get inside life rafts. So we tested the Vietnam ones that were on board. Then we ended up getting new ones. I think two
Okay.
came up. Two came up out of the 12 we dropped in the water. And I was like, what
Two.
the heck is
You
this?
dropped 12 of them and only two came up.
Yeah. And so we got to eat the
That's
MREs out
not
of
very
there.
good odds, man. That is
No,
shitty odds.
crappy odds, man. That they had MREs on them. And that, so with the MREs, that comes with a cigarette. It came with a little
Yeah.
thing of Tabasco sauce. And so we thought that was like a heyday for us guys to be able to go, oh, I'm trying this MRE.
Huh.
And I'm still alive today. So apparently they do last 30 years and everything. But yeah, from what I know now, almost every single one of our supply ships are decommissioned. And
Okay.
you know, there's you don't really think about it, and that's why I want to talk about it, because when I really started digging into what stupid stuff that we did that was so dangerous. Like, I was a bosun's mate. Well, before I was a bosun mate, I was a deck seaman, and so I did chipping, painting, and all that. They literally would hang you over the side of the ship, and you got to paint the side of the ship. Luckily, you got water up underneath you most of the time. But when we'd have to do the M frames, if they had to hang you over and you're doing grease pit and all that stuff.
What's an when you say M frame? What's an M frame?
So an M frame, it's the shape of an M, and that's what holds all of our wires, and it holds up one of our
Okay.
refueling rigs. And so
Okay.
we would take that wire out, re-grease them all back down, put it back in. Our ship was a
Hey,
working ship. You know,
you didn't have to paint when you're out and about. That's only when
no,
you're
no,
like
no, no,
dry
no,
port or
no.
you had to
Mm-mm,
do it while you're
no,
out on
yeah.
the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Why
Yes.
would you have to do that when you're out on the ocean? That makes no sense to me.
Well,
Because
because
it's something to do and keep the sailors busy or what?
no, because I would tell you like this, like I would tell anybody else. If you pull, there's certain parts of the country that you would pull into.
Uh-huh.
Now during Desert Storm, we didn't have to paint anything. But if we pulled in Australia, we could have no rust showing at all on the outside of the ship,
Oh,
even the anchor, because
okay.
they
We're in the
want
United States and we couldn't show any weakness or
no,
like,
no,
oh, any of our stuff got rusty.
no. It was more about their standards than our standards.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, when we pulled into Darwin, they had Greenpeace out there in kayaks, type little boats, and I'm like, what
Yeah.
the? And we just kept going. It didn't matter if they got in our way or not. We weren't going to stop. We just pull right
Yeah.
in. They move. I'm telling you, a big old vessel coming at you, I move too. And then,
Was your ship considered a decent size? Because
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know this.
we were in between a destroyer and an aircraft carrier. Now,
Okay.
aircraft carriers are freaking huge.
I
And
mean, I'd love to. I've never seen one. I'd love to see one in person. So
and here's the other thing that you worry about, like being in the Navy, and most guys on an aircraft carrier will tell you this, is being blown off the side of the ship. I've seen it done once. Okay. Let me rephrase that. They say he blew off the side of the ship. What I saw, he stepped off. We were unrepping. He was on board the USS Ranger, and while the ship's going side by side, all you can see is this guy leaping into the water, and our helo picked him up. And I guess he just had enough. I seen a guy, and this is another dangerous job that I think everybody find fascinating. He was on the fantail of the USS Mars, and he
Okay.
drove the forklift off the side of the ship, the fantail, the back of the ship where the
Just
helix
because he
lands.
was done, he wanted out. He thought that was
No, no, he was doing cargo or something, and he just misjudged, and he went over the
oh
side.
shit.
And so here's the theory that the military has for you in the Navy. You cannot jump overboard if somebody goes overboard. If they go
Okay.
overboard, you got what's called a SAR swimmer, Sea Air and Rescue swimmer on board. That's his job. He goes over the side.
Okay.
And so in them snake infested waters, not on God's green earth, if I was that guy, I'd be jumping over. I'd be like, see you later. Bye. Take good care of
Now,
yourself.
anytime I watch a movie or see something, now, unlike yourself or others, I live in the Midwest. I'm not near the shores or anything. I don't see big ships. In my mind, it would scare the hell out of me to jump off the ship because maybe I've watched too many movies. I don't know, but when you see a ship going down, or they're so massive, the idea of being along something like side of that and looking up, and it's like I told my wife is one of
It's
the things I like to
intimidating.
do. Yeah, it's like scuba diving and something swims next to me that's like 30 times bigger than me. I'm like, no,
You
no.
and that's just it. That's like, so we were on Guam, and we had the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders coming on board our ship, and
Okay.
we had
Came on the ship.
yeah, came
Perfect.
out yeah, they came on the ship and did a show. Well, we had to get
Okay.
bleachers, so I went down to help with the bleachers onto the 18-wheelers, and that's what at that time, they had an earthquake,
Oh,
and so we have 10-inch mooring lines. So imagine 10-inch mooring lines snapping. That line comes back and hits you, it's gonna cut you in half. And
that's a big line.
right, and so, I mean, same thing with anchor chain. If you're in the way of the
Yeah.
anchor chain, or something happens with the anchor chain and you get wrapped up while you're being towed or anything, you get wrapped up in that 10-inch line
Yeah.
or anything, you're going overboard and you're never gonna be
You
seen
ever
again.
you ever heard anybody that happened to?
No, now that's the crazy thing is, I did see a guy get hit with the anchor chain on the
Oof.
kneecap, and it bruised him up, but he actually pushed me out of the way.
That's it? It bruised
Yeah,
him
it
up?
it bruised him up pretty good though. And then,
Yeah.
but and so when you're dealing with all this that you're thinking about now, when you're older and you're doing now, I don't know why I complain about not wanting to go in the army to get shot at, because I mean the stuff you do in the Navy is dangerous every day,
Yeah.
and and so I mean, but it is the thought of somebody shooting at me. Just no, 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 thank you, no.
Well, I mean, it's kinda like if you grew up around it, if that's normal to you, it's not a big deal. It's kind of like I grew up small town Iowa, not a lot here, hadn't been to the big what would be considered big cities. So when I go in, for example, when I was in basic training or AIT, we had guys coming in that they hear from where you're at, and you talk about trivial stuff like they're super excited to be able to mow a lawn. You look at them like you're batshit crazy. You're like mowing a lawn. Why would you want to? Oh, they just think that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And just like me, I go into a city which I didn't do until later in life. Go into these big old cities, and it's intimidating because you know, I come from small town, and here again, if you grew up in that environment, you're fine with it. Whereas if you're not, like in the Navy, you're used to all that type of stuff. Army, we're used to it. But then you get yourself in an uncomfortable, unfamiliar territory. It's nerve wracking.
And and
It's
and,
just
and I could tell you, and when like we have a Navy reunion coming up, and it's people in during Desert Storm and the Gulf War era time, June 17th, and I will be podcasting that Thursday with them. And these people, it's how it is, even like with your group, your platoon, or company, whatever y'all call yourselves in the Army, you live and breathe and bleed and all that with these people. And so everything you do and they do, you rely on each other. And I can honestly tell you, like, I was learning how to run a winch, and that's like a winch is running the high lines, the wires.
Right.
And he's like, "All right, Simon, go up on number 3." Well, the morons, the electricians, put the numbers backwards. So 1, 2, and 3, they put 3, 2, and 1. So when I grabbed number 3 and I went up, it went up, and we have these refueling hoses that are real big, and I mean lined up. Everybody was underneath, and it went up and it broke. And it all, I mean, you're talking about 3 stories coming down on top of you. Nobody got hurt, nobody died. But I tell you, I remember being scared out my ass that I just killed everybody.
Oh,
And
yeah, because
so,
this is what, jet fuel or whatever it is you had hoisted up.
yeah, oil,
You know?
jet fuel. Well, there's nothing in them, but that's how we transfer oil and jet fuel. And I just
Okay.
dropped on top of everybody. I mean, and then they were up there like, "How did this happen?" The captain came down. I was getting my ass reamed by my chief. He threw a marlin spike at me. I ain't gonna explain what a marlin spike is. And they looked on there and they realized the electrician's mate put it backwards. So I didn't get in any trouble. Their ass had got in trouble. I didn't get in any trouble.
Yeah.
But they made me climb up there and rewire everything. That shit sucked. That
It's a
sucked.
way high elevation.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
actually, you talk about stuff that you did dangerous, and I'm always kind of intrigued because of what your ship, what its responsible is to replenish other ships, right? That's what you did
Exactly.
through cables. And how far apart were your ships when you're going along? And were they stationary? They had to have been stopped.
No, moving.
They're still moving.
Yeah, you're doing about 12 knots on the
Okay.
sea, and you shoot shot lines over, which is a shotgun that shoots out this line, and
Okay.
we send the lines over, and they're hooking up. Now, some of them are probably about, I don't know, if you had to measure it in a football field in yards, maybe 50 yards away.
That's a good distance.
And some of them were 25. And the USS LaSalle, if anybody from Desert Storm, if you were there and you were on the USS LaSalle, you're going to remember this. We decided that we were going to do them in 20-foot swells. And apparently their bosun's mate were not very good at driving the ship, because that bosun mate drove the ship. And then you had navigations were also your master helmsman.
Okay.
We, at one point, we could have reached out and shook their hand. We came that close to colliding with them.
That's not good. I wouldn't think that's good.
And then finally, I was just like done. I was like, "We're the emergency breakaway, everything. We're bringing it back." I was like, "I'm done. I'm not doing it." I was, man, that was close call. How that we didn't hit each other, and the guys who were in the winch booth running these wires, they're constantly moving back and forth. Now, we did transfer the 7th Fleet Admiral at that time back to the USS Independence. When we were unrepping them, he was like, "Hey, let's do a personnel transfer." I'm like, "Are you crazy?" And he's like, "Let's do it." I'm like, "Okay." So we hooked it up. He sat in this thing. We brought up, we sent him to the Independence. Over.
Really?
Yeah, snake infested ass water. No,
The snakes.
absolutely
I
no.
laugh because you say it every time, and which is hilarious. Don't get me wrong, dude. I hate snakes.
Right.
When
Jason
I
will
meet a
tell
snake-
you. Yeah, Jason will tell you when you looked over the side of the ship, you were going to see snakes. If you didn't see a
That-
snake while you were out there, you didn't look over the side of the ship.
Oh, see, and I don't how. So How long does it take to get used to before you're stopping puking when you first get in on a ship?
There was one guy, I'm not gonna say his name, I'll just say Rod. We'll call him Rod, okay, because that's part of
Okay.
his name.
Okay.
As soon as they said underway, he had to have a trash bag tied to his belt loop because he puked the whole time. And as soon as we hit land, he was fine. I didn't get
Ooh.
seasick unless I got real drunk. And
Oh, okay.
that was just, we were seeing how much we could drink and go through a typhoon. That it wasn't fun.
Oh,
But sometimes you would feel queasy if were in the front of the ship. And a lot of people said they felt queasy in the back of the ship. And I'm like, I didn't, but the front, yes.
a- and I think I've asked you this on previous podcasts. I don't recall, so humor me. So now you supplied most ships. Did you ever have to resupply like subs?
No, never.
No.
No,
Is
no.
that is that something the subs would normally do or no? That's something
I
they
don't
only do at
know.
port.
I think they pull in a port. I mean, I
Okay.
don't know. It's
Um,
like we got subtenders, and maybe we might send a subtender cargo, and they may do it,
what do
but
you mean?
we don't.
Hold on. What do you mean by
Oh,
subtender?
okay. A subtender, they tend to exactly. They tend to
Just a
submarines.
smaller
It's a
ship?
ship. No, about the same size as ours.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
All
sure
right.
out to see if they need stuff, we can pull next to them and they tie up, we can load it down, but we just never did it. Now we did bring a
Okay.
milk barge alongside, just so I love telling this story.
What
And
barge?
milk. Our captain wanted milk, and we were out of
Oh,
it.
okay.
So they brought us a milk barge, which was about 15-foot, 20-foot swells, and I refused to take alongside. And I remember, uh, uh, I'm first division, and you had second division in the back that did theirs. They're like, "Oh, we'll take it." And I'm like, "Y'all go right ahead, their chief." They put 7 holes in the side of our ship.
Holy crap. 7
Oh,
holes?
there was an ash chewing going on down there, buddy. Ash chewing going on. And Boatswain will tell you he was up with me on the forecastle in the front of the ship, and we were on the Wildcat winch to drop the anchor. And that was the best day of my life because I was not involved and I was right. I was like, no way I'm taking
So
that no barge.
so you said I'm not wait a second, just so I understand, because you were able to say, "No, I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
that authority?
Uh-huh. Yeah. The authorities that the boatswain mates who were rig captain, they had authority to sit there and say, yeah, when you're underway and you're doing underway replenishment, the rig captain is in charge of that rig and the team around him.
Okay.
So whatever he deems necessary at that time for the safety of his crew, he's got that right to do emergency breakaway. He doesn't have to have permission. If he sees something wrong, something's going wrong, he can do emergency breakaway. But I just kept saying, I don't think it's a good idea for us to take the milk barge on and everything because the boatswain mates know. Boatswain mates, they run your ship. They know what they're doing. And second class apparently, our second division did not. Their chief was like, "Oh, we'll take it." I was like, "Man, I gotta be up on the, we're gonna be up on the anchor. Let's set, second division take care of it." But yeah, like if they would talk about sending jet engines over to the aircraft carrier for the jets, and we send them over. Were there only a certain amount of rigs on our ship that could really handle it? So when they would say, "Oh, we'll use number two," be like, "No, no, no, no." 1 or 3 could do it, but not 2. So we got to really say, the officer deck will say what side of the ship they'll come on, and but we would have 2 ships on both sides of us, and
Hmm.
we'll be sending cargo to 2 different ships at the same time.
Oh,
That's how,
really?
yeah, and
2
we
different
would,
sides?
yep,
Oh, shit. So, I mean, wait a sec. So, if you're sitting now, here again, My apologies to those listening. This dude doesn't know, so I'm just asking. A ship on each side, you're in the middle. Isn't that could plausibly? Well, I guess that's why if you had to hit the emergency breakaway, because if some, I mean, that you're going to be going all over the
Not
place,
not
aren't
not
you?
not not always. Not always. Our helmsmen at that master helmsman were usually the navigation people. Vetch, which I'll just say his name, Vetch. I think he was a master helmsman. He was really good, and so we never really had any problems like that. And so
Okay, interesting.
our captain took what we said and he took it to heart along with our XO. They listened to what we said because we knew the ship. We knew what could be done, what can't be done, and you know, and nobody thought they were high and mighty on our ship at all. Everybody was a team. You know, I was rig captain because I had a big mouth, and everybody could hear every word. I just could hear everything I say.
Well, there's
And
a
so,
difference if you got a big mouth, but you know what the hell you're talking about. I
right,
mean, if you
but
know what you're doing, you
but
know,
but what's funny is I credit um I'll say their names. I credit Stillwell. I credit Vetch. I credit a guy named Gaines, Logan, Brown, Jefferson. I credit them guys for teaching me what I knew, because they took me. All of them took me underneath their wing, like Vetch and all them. And man, they showed me how to tie every knot the Navy knew how to do. And of course, I did all some of the dumb shit because I was small and Simon can fit through that. Simon can fit, and but I didn't mind
yeah.
doing it. I had no problem. I didn't problem have no problem learning. And so these guys were like, "Hey, I was a good sailor. I love being a sailor." But the dangers of it that I look at now is like they trusted a 19-year-old kid
Mm.
with a lot of stuff, kids with a lot of stuff. And let me tell you, our officers on the ship weren't much older than us, except for the captain of XO and maybe the command master chief, the master chief, the older enlisted guys. But everybody had a role to play, and it worked out great. And it was fun. I can tell you, there were nights I really missed home, and there were days I missed home. But I could go outside at midnight, walk up to the front of the ship or the back of the ship, lay down and look up, and you can see the Milky Way like it was nothing during Desert Storm
Mm.
because everything was pitch black. The stars were beautiful, shooting stars. You could see the satellite. It was gorgeous. And, and with y'all bringing up like the Army, there were nights out when y'all were out there looking up, that when it wasn't, and y'all would be like, dang, man, these stars are bright, man.
I yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, most of the time, because Wade and I were joking a little bit back and forth. He was infantry, I was an engineer, you were in the Navy. I mean, most of the time, I'm not saying I never did, but I mean, most of the time we were intense. So, we were I don't know if I ever slept outside of a tent when I was in Desert Storm. I mean, I might have, I just don't remember it. So
So
it's just
I'm bringing Shane up right now. First time scrolling,
okay.
listening, bringing back memories. He was on board the ship with me.
Awesome.
And,
Okay.
and, and, and he'll
All right.
tell you, our ship, man, we were all close knit. Everybody was close. We all did stuff together.
Yeah.
And you go out and tell everybody had a group of friends. We went out. I was at every country bar there was. So if they had a country bar, I was there, and everything.
Yeah.
And so it it and I'm going to bring up Linda's comment. And this is what I was just about to say. We grew up fast in
Yeah.
the military, and we
Yeah.
did. We
Yeah.
did grow up fast.
Yeah.
But
You don't
our
have much of a
ship,
choice.
and Shane will be able to tell you this. Our ship was probably one of the hardest working ships out there, the supply ships. I don't care what anybody says. We worked our ass off. Our ship worked our ass off. I mean, when we'd unrep at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning some nights. And
Hmm.
and they'll be like, "Oh, let's do a night unrep." Well, I don't want to do a night unrep because all you're seeing is chem lights, and you got to remember what chem lights are going where. It's
You didn't do it,
crazy.
but I mean, you had to
We
do
we
it
did
that
it.
time.
We
Somebody
did
had
it.
to do it.
We did it.
So what would you guys do? Would you guys? Because here again, I don't know. Like for us, I don't know that we were ever off per se. Because I mean, if we were, I mean, if you're sleeping, somebody's always pulling security somewhere. So
Oh
we're
yeah,
going in maybe
same
1 or
thing.
2 hour time frames. But
Same thing.
do you guys? Would you guys go like 8, 10, 12 hours or more?
Oh, you
At a
lost
time?
your. Oh, you lost your damn
Oh,
mind.
freaking hell.
Let me tell you, this was our hours. Okay,
Okay,
when
do tell.
when we're out at sea, and this is mainly goes for like radio men and all them and boiler techs, all them. I think they were 12 hours on, 12 hours off, or sometimes
Okay.
8 hours on, 8 hours off. Okay, that was their rotation. We got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, bosun mates, sit deck seamen, seamen recruits, anybody who was a damn bosun mate got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then you worked all day up until 4 o'clock in the afternoon out at sea. And then
Biker's
sometimes,
hours.
well, hold on. But in that time frame, you got to stand watch, and that's driving the ship.
Okay.
You drove the ship. You were lookouts and all this stuff. Yeah, lee
I had to
helmsman,
be a smart
helmsman.
aleck about that.
Yeah, and but our hours were every. I think every there were three. Yeah, so there were three sections of us. Uh,
Okay.
and so we would be off for we would be watched for 4 hours, and we're off 8 hours until
Hmm.
certain times. Then you may be off for 2 hours and go right back to 4 hours. But
Interesting.
we normally had to stand balls to four watch. That's midnight to 4 a.m.
Yeah,
Uh,
which sucks.
every 3 days. And then you would have to stand watch from 4 a.m. till 6 a.m., or you would have to stand 8 to midnight. So needless to say, we weren't sleeping very much. But we didn't need to. We really didn't need to sleep very much because we were young. Well, heck,
Well, right.
we would hit port and we would go to the bars and we wouldn't get back till 3 a.m. in the morning, get right
I
back
don't
up.
want to hear about that's a huge advantage you had to be in Navy. I didn't never damn see not one bar, not one dude, not freaking one. And so it cracks me up every time. Now here again, you picked the Navy. I did not. I picked the Army, my choice, right? But yeah, because it cracks me up. Didn't saw any. Only hooch we ever saw was some homemade stuff at somebody, and I couldn't hardly get that down my throat because it was gonna kill you. So I laugh, but hey, you picked the Navy, I did not. So hey,
Right.
I'm just laughing because you had the opportunity to get some R&R, however you phrase it. R&R. We didn't have R&R until we left. I
Right.
mean,
Well,
we got to go.
just like the Army, y'all do 2 years and then they move you to somewhere else. My stupid butt was on
uh,
Guam the first 2 years, and we're back from Desert Storm at this time, and I'm about to go to a different command. And Master Chief pulls me.
Okay.
He's like, Simon, you already have your friends here. You already know the ship by heart. Why don't you just stay another 2 years? And I'm like, that's a good idea. I only got to go home one time out of the 4 years.
So you were there 4 years.
4 years on Guam.
See, I was seeing when I was in Germany, 4 years basically each time. I only had like 1 year, one and a half, something like that, stateside duty. All my other time was over in Europe or down in where we'd go TDY at. So I don't know how it is in today's military, how much time they got, but back then we did 4. Most people did 4, depend on your MOS. So
Oh, wait, I got to bring this up. What Shane said. Don't forget the times after dinner when there was work or pull into port early to load stores. Oh my God, do I and work and party and unwrap. Let me tell you, Shane, thank you for bringing that up. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he brought that up. So when we would pull into port, like during the storm, and when we went back to south to the Southwest Asia, whatever it was, watch, and we pull into port, we're loading cargo all night. So people would, rest for 4 hours or 2 hours, come relieve the other guys, and you got people all down on the deck, everybody up on deck, and you're just loading cargo. And I'm not talking about 20, 50 pallets. I'm talking hundreds of pallets, dude. We're just loading cargo, loading cargo, loading cargo, one after another, John. And finally, when you get that last one on there, your whole side of the ship was full of cargo. Standing, you walk outside and you got a little space to walk in between them to go be able to go to the upper deck. And
Mm.
it's nothing. But it's soda. It's we did from soda to ammunition to everything. You name it. Our ship was the one that we deliver. We were your delivery man.
So if you need a little something something over here, you just kind of like,
Nope.
man,
Nope.
oh bullshit, oh
Nope.
BS. Come on.
Nope. No. Hey,
I
no,
know
man.
in the army, hey, if you wanted something in the army, we were pretty good at acquisitioning things when we needed them.
Well, we
Let's
had a
put it that
ship
way.
store. So we had a ship store. And so
Well,
if you
then
need anything, you go in there.
go pay for shit.
It
You had to
wasn't
go
very
pay for
much.
shit.
It wasn't very much at all. Wasn't very much at all.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I was a thief. I'm just using
Uh-huh.
a
That's
term
exactly what the hell you
acquisition.
just said. That's just what the hell you just said.
We were acquisition what we needed.
I heard the
Hey.
army stories all the time. Army stories all the time about what you guys did. But
Hey,
but let me tell you, I ate a lot of brown lettuce. A
no,
lot of brown lettuce. I don't eat pancakes anymore. I cannot stand
really.
pancakes for the life of me. No.
Oh, I like me some. I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. Fortunately, any unit that I was in, we had phenomenal cooks. Whether they liked their job or not, they were always. We always had good chow. Every place I was ever in, we had great chow. No complaints. I mean, hey, what I can't imagine somebody wanting to be a chef because I mentioned to my
Oh, me
wife at
neither,
one point
man.
you know, you go into the military and that's a tough gig. That be it working in chow, that's tough. That is busy, 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 busy.
It is,
You
and
know,
them guys get up at like 3 a.m. to start chow for,
yeah.
400
I
something
have
people
nothing
at that
but great
time.
things to say about those
Me, I'm
folks.
telling
Yeah.
you. And, like most of us, though, like in first division, and we have people in second division, both mates hung out, both mates. We all went out and did our own thing. And I mean, we all had a great time. I mean, I can honestly tell you, and I said this, I said to my wife, and I got so much trouble. I hope she's not listening. But I happen to say them were the best 4 years of my life because it was a different
Oh,
lifestyle. It was just totally
yeah.
different. If you weren't there, you cannot understand it. Now, don't get me wrong. My kids are the best things in my life. My wife is the best things in my life. But my time in the military, it's a different bond with these people.
It
Y-
is.
y- You
Absolutely
know,
is.
and you sit back and talk about, hey, what's life like at home, and you're listening to these guys talking about living in the Bronx, and then you listen to a guy lives in small town in Oak Ridge, Texas at that time, and then people from Iowa.
I, I,
I didn't meet anybody
I,
from Iowa, by the way, John, in the Navy.
I can't, yeah, I can't imagine why. I
you,
mean, but
you
I mean,
corn people just go in the army or some shit like that.
I don't know. I don't know. I remember. So I was stationed. My first stateside duty was down at Fort Stewart, Georgia. And again, I know I just mentioned Iowa. I'm used to very wide open areas, and you talk about getting in. You're not when something. We were driving down the road in Georgia, and there's pine trees on either side. I felt very secluded. Hell, I drove to the ocean just so I could see out. I was kind of freaked out. I'm like, this is claustrophobic. You know, I wasn't used to it. Just like if you're in a big city and you come to they see you a rural Iowa guy and they go, "What the hell do you guys do all day? What do you do all day?" you know, if
Right.
you're in a big city, what do you do all day? Well, we just do different things because different environments, you know.
Right. And that's what was cool. I met all types of walks of life. We didn't see
Yeah.
color. We didn't see anything, man.
Thank you. I
We
don't give
didn't
a
see
shit
any of
what the
that.
color of your skin was. You all
Right.
bleed red. You
Right.
bleed
And
red.
and man, we had so much. I tell you what, I loved it. I just my friends in the military, I still keep in contact with almost all of them. But now we are coming in the show, and I did forget to say this in the beginning. So everybody knows March was, kill 'em with kindness, be nice to everybody. And then April was the dad bod workout, starting to get healthier. I started out 202 pounds. After 5 weeks of doing it, I weighed myself. I'm at 175.4 pounds.
Wow.
So I'm right.
Congratulations,
I'm
brother.
right exactly where I wanted to be. So that dad bod workout was exactly. You put in everything you want, it tells you what to do. And I did it. And I mean, I'm still doing it, but I can eat a little bit more stuff than what I want to. So that way I don't want to change my jean size because I don't want to buy jeans. Everything's too damn expensive. And then this month is, quitting your addiction. I am 1 week and 1 day not dipping. And
Good for
so
you.
I quit dipping tobacco. And so I hope this is my hardest battle. If I can get through this battle, I'm great to go, man. I'll be ecstatic and everything. So I just hope everybody out there knows if I can do this, y'all can do it. Trust me. But thanks for coming on tonight. Y'all go check out our YouTube page, by the way. Subscribe and share. Y'all go back and listen to John and Wade's time in the Army. It was great. And I'm gonna have to do a big San Jose reunion on the podcast. We'll have a great time with it. Um, check out YouTube. Go check out our Patreon. We're going to do the after show after this. We're going to go in and talk about that. But I want to thank each and every person for listening tonight. John, thanks for coming on. And
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I hope y'all learned something, and we'll see y'all next week.